Hey, what's up, YouTube? Donovan the Smartphone Guy here to do my first 72 hours review of the Moto G5 Plus. So this is a phone that I picked up at Best Buy at the physical store. According to their website and to Amazon.com, this phone will be released on March 31st, but you can go in there right now to Best Buy and you can pick up a Moto G5 Plus. You might want to call ahead because my store only had two of them. They had one of the 64 gig variant, which is what I have. So where's that? There it is, 64 gig. And they had one 32 gig version. So the supplies are limited, but you can go ahead and get an early one if you want. Now, with that being said, I probably would recommend that if you're thinking about picking this up, I would probably recommend that you just go ahead and wait a little bit, because if you get the Amazon version, so this is an ad-supported version of the same exact phone. It's 100% unlocked for all the major US carriers. You can get it for $240 for the same phone that I paid $300 for. Now, I've had a lot of people question on my first impressions video, what does that mean? Do you have ads all the time? The answer is no. The only time you'll ever see ads if you get a Amazon phone, well, the Amazon ad-supported phone, is right here on your lock screen. So right next to your Twitter account or your Google Play services or whatever, you'll see a little ad down there. That is the only time you'll see it. Now, with that being said, if you use the fingerprint sensor like this, you jump right into the phone, and so you'll never see those ads if you use the fingerprint sensor. So it's really pretty, I mean, honestly, those ads really are not all that intrusive. Some people might find them intrusive. I really don't care personally. They're not a big deal to me. You can pick up the 2 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of onboard storage for $185, or, you know, down here you can see the one I got for $300. So anyways, those are your options. They have them in gold and lunar gray, which is what I picked up. So I have the lunar gray version. I'm gonna go ahead and set that phone off to the side. And I'm calling this my Just Buy It video. And the reason why I'm calling it Just Buy It is because I think that this is a phone that is meant for the masses. This is a phone that I think, for the most part, pretty much anybody could live with. I am a tech reviewer. I could live with this phone being my phone all the time. If I had to live with a phone for a year and it was the Moto G5 Plus, I would be okay with it because this is a really darn good phone. Now, is it a perfect phone? Absolutely not. You know, some people want the latest and greatest. This is not quite the latest and greatest, but it's very, very good. It is a phone for the masses. So if you're thinking about buying it, my recommendation is just do it, okay? Because this is a great phone. So let me talk about why I think this is a great phone. So first of all, this is running it's running the Snapdragon 625 processor, which if you've seen any of my videos on the Snapdragon 625, the phone I'm actually recording this on, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4X, uses the Snapdragon 625. The Blade V8 Pro also used the Snapdragon 625. Both phones run really well. The performance with this processor is excellent. 4 gigs of RAM on the version I have, that's the $300 version, and no stuttering whatsoever. So I can go into things like the screen settings and it pops right up. So RAM management is also very, very good. So, and you can see that was actually quite a ways back. So let's go into Twitter feed. Now that one's going to take a little while. Okay, that actually popped up really fast. So it's very quick. I mean, everything that you do on this phone is very snappy. Gaming is no problem at all. It can handle games. You're not going to see any stutters, even with some of the higher end games. So performance is excellent. No reason to pass up on this phone because it has a quote unquote mid-range performance processor. Not true. All right, next let's talk about the battery life. So I just had up my settings here. So I'm going to go into my screen. So this is a typical day of use. I've pretty much been on LTE most of the day. There have been like small portions of the day where I wasn't on LTE. I had Wi-Fi for just a little bit, but for the most part, I've pretty much been on LTE. Now you'll notice that the subscriber count that will probably not be on most of your phones. That is a phone that is an app that constantly is running in the background, checking your subscribers. It's kind of stupid. I should probably get rid of it because it really isn't that big of a deal. But you can see that's obviously a huge strain. Most people probably wouldn't have that. So screen on time, you're going to get easily a full day use out of this. So right now I'm at 5 hours and 12 minutes. And I'm at what, like, let's see, I think I'm at right around 20. Okay, so 25%, pretty close. So looking at about 6.5 to 7 hours of battery life. And so far in all 3 days of use, that's been about the same. So for most people, unless you're a super heavy power user and you're watching YouTube and Netflix all the time, streaming tons of content, you're probably not going to wear down this battery in a day. For most people, you're probably going to at least get a day and a half, maybe even 2 full days of battery life. And for me, that is excellent. That's something I want in a phone. At least a full day of battery life. And if I can get a day and a half, that's awesome. And this phone, you can do that. So battery life is definitely a huge plus on this one as well. Now let's talk about the cameras. So a lot has been said about the cameras of this phone. It is the same camera that you get on the S7. So I'm just going to kind of flip through a few pictures. I'm also going to post some of these onto Twitter as well. And I'll load some of these up. But the camera quality is very good. The snapping, the actual picture taking is very, very fast. So Emma, let's go ahead and look at this. So the picture of my kids being goofy, just the camera quality. Whoa, that's a little scary. All right. There, my cute little daughter. Isn't she cute? But the camera quality is very good. In good lighting and low light, it's still quite good. You're not going to see any major drop-offs in the picture quality. In low light, there's still more testing to be done with this, but overall, I would say camera. Now that is the 12 megapixel rear camera, dual LED flash, is very good. The front facing camera for me is kind of a different situation. If I'm going to knock this phone down a little bit, let me go back to a photo in here, and I'll post some of these at the end as well. This is a front facing camera. You can see that this is in good lighting, but there's quite a bit of pixelating there. I would say the front-facing camera could be maybe if there's a reason why, if you really need a great front-facing camera, then maybe you would want to pass on this one. I don't think that's really necessarily a reason to do it, but overall, I would say definitely the rear camera. While it isn't S7 quality, it's still very good. It's the same sensor, but you're obviously getting different processing, post-processing, in the software realm. So with that being said, I want to show you, if I can find it in here, somewhere in here. This is fun. So this is a little slow motion video I did with this camera. And by the way, it does shoot in 4K video. I would say in good lighting, the video quality is excellent. In poor lighting, again, it's not the best. A few of the videos that I've shot recently were actually done with the Moto G5 Plus, and it wasn't as good as the Honor 6X. If you're looking for the best camera at this price range, I would say the Honor 6X for me personally is the best one. So something worth considering if you are maybe thinking about a phone in this price range between like $200 and $300. So the Honor 6X probably has the best camera. This one probably is a close, maybe second to that. So cameras are good. Probably I'd give it 8.5 out of 10 there. In terms of software, I'm actually running Nova Launcher, which right now looks a whole lot like the stock launcher. And that's because the stock launcher is basically Nova Launcher, or not Nova Launcher. It's basically the Pixel launcher that you see here. Now, one difference that you'll see is if I were to swipe to the left in the launcher it comes with, I would get into my Google Now feed. Here, I'm just going to tap on this little Google and the Google icon, and it jumps me right into it. So I'm running Nova Launcher, and you can see I've got some different icons. These are called the dark matter icons. I'll leave a link down in the description if you're interested in those icons. But the software is excellent. It's Motorola using Android 7.0 to its best. Of course, you do get all of the gestures like you would with any other Motorola phone. So there it is, Android 7.0. And in terms of software updates, Motorola hasn't had the best history since they've joined forces with Lenovo, or since Lenovo bought out Moto. So are you going to get updates? Hopefully. It's not a guarantee, but you know, I would say that probably a better chance than not that eventually you will get Android O whenever that does come out, but you're probably going to get it a little bit later than everyone else is. So that's just my thoughts on that so far. So if that's an important thing to you, it looks very stock. The one thing, of course, is the Moto gesture. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into those. One thing being, of course, this fingerprint sensor. So the fingerprint sensor doubles, if you want it to, as the back key. So that was the back. And if I swipe to the right, I get my recent apps. So you probably noticed that I've been doing that the whole time. I can also hold down the home button, and it's going to shut the screen off, turn it back on. Fingerprint sensor, by the way, is excellent. It's super snappy and obviously very useful because you have those gestures as well. So I'm going to jump back into the Moto app so you guys can see some of the gestures that are available. There it is. I knew it was in there somewhere. Okay, so I have some actions available. So this is the ones that are going to be important. So that's the one button nav that I was showing you. You can turn it off and use the software buttons. We have the chop twice for a flashlight. So I have it on. I love that one. That's one of my favorites. We can twist for a quick capture. So turn the camera on real quick. All right, we're going to swipe back and go back into Moto. We can swipe to shrink the phone or shrink the screen, pick up to stop ringing, and then flip to do not disturb. So those are our options. The first the first three are ones that I use regularly. I really like those. So software wise, again, excellent. I'm going to give it like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. The only downfall there is maybe, whether you're going to get updates or not. That would be the one thing. So the next thing to talk about is the build quality. So that's obviously the one area that for me is probably one of the biggest weaknesses of this phone. So in terms of build, I said it when the first render came out for this phone, that I just thought it wasn't a very pretty looking phone. I still kind of stick to that. Now, personally, this is just the first case I bought. I have a lot of cases on the way that I'll review for the channel, but I'm going to cover up this phone because it's an attempt to be somewhere between a premium phone and a budget phone, but I think I'd rather just have it be one or the other, because I'm just not a huge fan of the build quality. It's not the worst build quality. It's, metal backing, but it's also plastic. And so I don't know, it doesn't do it for me. And the camera hump kind of bugs me a little bit. So you can see that's a pretty decent sized camera hump. One other thing I want to point out, and this is kind of like maybe an unfair comparison, but I just want to point something out because I was in T-Mobile earlier today, and I was taking a look at the G6, which I have coming, I think tomorrow or the next day. I pre-ordered it while I was there. And one thing you'll notice is that they are literally almost exactly the same size phone. This has a 5.7 inch screen, 5.2. The G5 Plus is slightly wider, and it's a little thicker. So other than that, they really are pretty much the same size, which is amazing considering the size of the display on the G6 versus the G5 Plus. Now, we're talking a $650 phone versus a phone I paid $300 for. So probably an unfair comparison, but either way, it's not my favorite build quality. But still, I mean, for a budget phone, it's for a mid-range phone, I should say, I think this phone overall has a whole lot more going for it than it has going against it. So the last thing I want to do is I'm just going to test out the speaker because that's something that a lot of people care about. How is that front-facing speaker? So we have just one front-facing speaker up here. It comes out of the same thing that you're going to listen to if you were on a phone call. So I'm going to find a song that I think would be a good one to listen to. You guys don't want to listen to that. Let's go in here and we're going to listen to a fun song. Can't Stop the Feeling, Justin Timberlake. Only for a second though, because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. I bet you're all dancing right now, aren't you? Okay, so with that being said, it's not the loudest speaker. I really like that it's front facing. So it's not the loudest front facing speaker, but for me, it's good because it's front facing. I like that. Now, in comparison, the Honor 6X definitely had a much quieter speaker. The Z Max Pro actually, I think, has a pretty comparable speaker, but that one's rear firing. It might even be a little bit louder. But overall, the speaker quality is 6.5 to 7 out of 10. It's definitely not the best, but it's not the worst either. So this phone has a lot going for it. Performance, camera, battery life, all of those are excellent. There are some, obviously, for a $300 mid-range phone, you're going to have some sacrifices, but overall, I say without a doubt, this phone is worth your purchase if you are considering it. So I'll leave a link down in the description. Buy it using that link because you help out this channel if you do, and I really appreciate that. But with that being said, thanks for watching. If there's anything I missed, any questions you have about the phone, please go ahead and leave those down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Deuces.